Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to give my review for episode 22 of The Walking Dead. I also watched the episode 23 trailer, so I will do a video on that. Man, I think these next two episodes, especially episode 23 as well, I really feel like it's going to be getting really intense here. And based off of the footage here from 23, it seems like we don't have any shots really at all from episode 24, which is kind of exciting because I think that in 23, they're really going to wrap up quite a bit of stuff here. They're really going to go all out, and it's going to feel like this final battle. I mean, if you actually just look at the trailer and you see a lot of the visuals and stuff, like, it looks really incredible. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go because I really love the ending of episode 22. I think those final like 15 minutes there, 10 to 15 minutes, really hyped everything up here in a perfect way as well. I think they actually did a really great job here. Now I'm just very excited to see how all of this is going to come to an end and just what they're planning to do here with all of it. So anyways, before we go any further, obviously, please be aware that this video will contain spoilers for episode 22. And also, as always, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Now, obviously, the ending was just really insane, and we'll talk about that, but I want to save that towards the end. Let's actually talk about the two other storylines that happened in this episode here. And the first one here was Oceanside. You know, it was actually awesome to have this kind of wrapped up. I'm very thankful for it. Like, I'm very thankful that this was just wrapped up in this way, that we don't have to really deal with this being a thing anymore. Though I will say I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't see Oceanside. I'm annoyed that this was teased as like something bigger, and then all of a sudden this just kind of happens like out of nowhere, and it's like nothing. Like, we just have Luke and Jules come up, which, yeah, it was nice to see them, but basically they just come out of nowhere and they're like, yeah, Oceanside was gone. They took it over. Basically, you know, telling us that the same thing that happened to Alexandria and the Hilltop happened to Oceanside. And that part there, I don't like that, because if you watch the ending of episode 16, it seemed like something happened a lot, or something worse happened to Oceanside, right? It felt like Alexandria and the Hilltop were taken over, and yes, the Oceanside was going to be taken over, but it seemed like there was something worse that happened there because of Lance flipping the coin. Right? And then they kind of tease it in the trailer as well, because the next time you see Lance, he's flipping that coin and he's all covered in blood. So everyone's concerned about Oceanside. But I guess after all, it was really just unrelated. I mean, obviously, when he does flip that coin, he's all covered in blood. Like, that was totally different because that was, you know, when he was in that cell or whatever with Sebastian. And when you look back to episode 16 now, I guess the context of that is he was just kind of flipping the coin for no reason. Everyone else was just held captive. But basically, the ending of that you know, of part 2 was that they took everything over, and the Oceanside stuff really was nothing. So I just think that it was handled wrong, you know, because the way that they teased it, and also the stuff that they put in the trailer, was just that they made it seem like something really bad happened to Oceanside, when it was just the same as what happened to Alexandria and the Hilltop. So besides that, I think it was actually nice to see Luke and Jules. It was, you know, it made me realize that I really don't understand why they weren't available. Maybe they were busy, like, that's also very possible, but it just kind of sucks because I really would have liked them to be a part of the story a lot more here. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. Like, when you have this many characters, like, it's just kind of hard to juggle all of them, right? And I think they're having a hard time doing that as it is right now. So yeah, I guess it makes sense. Now, the other part of the story was Eugene's trial, and I actually think this was appropriately paced, and I'm very happy with all of it. I really am very happy with it. I think the stuff with Mercer as well made a lot of sense, because, you know, they've already built up so much of what Mercer really believes and stuff like that. Mercer has for a long time now, you know, I think that's the one storyline I would say from the Commonwealth that I really like. Mercer has been really struggling with his beliefs. You know, like, we've got a lot of stuff in part 2 as well. Like, there's been a lot of stuff here where it's basically told us that Mercer, he believes a lot of what our characters believe. He knows what's right. He just doesn't want to go against it because he just wants to keep things as is. He doesn't want to mess anything up. And I really like the fact that, you know, it was, first of all, I like how it was done, because Eugene, you know, gives that speech. First of all, a lot of nods to All Out War and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool, but, or not even All Out War necessarily, like some stuff in late season 7, which I thought was really cool. Like, they actually did that a lot with Negan and some stuff there. There was a lot of mentions to the way he used to be and stuff like that, which I kind of liked. But Eugene really references his old self and the way he used to be. And at this point, it was very predictable that Mercer would just come out and speak out against Pamela Milton because he was right there, sort of thing, right? And I'm glad they never went down that route. They didn't. They kind of kept it a secret, but that obviously made him think. And then later on, you know, we get that final scene where he says that very iconic line, and like, now Mercer's, you know, he's going to be on our side. And if you watch the episode 23 trailer, like, he is 100% on our side now. Basically, you know, like, he broke Eugene out and he wants to try and turn as many Commonwealth soldiers on his side as possible. Now I'm just very excited to see where things are going to go here, because we know that we're going to get a bunch of soldiers on our side. Like, we know that that's where they're going here. I can't wait to see where this is going to go, because like, there's a shot of Maggie with some Commonwealth soldiers. Like, where does this play a role? I don't know if this is from 23. This actually could be from episode 24, which, if that's the case, man, that's crazy. Like, these next 2 episodes are really going to be insane. But let's actually go to the Alexandria stuff. So the Alexandria storyline was just insanity. Like, Daryl, first of all, Daryl and Connie, they were pretty absent from the episode. Like, we saw Daryl a little bit in the beginning, but then they went into the sewers, and I guess they were going to go underneath. I don't know why they did that, because it didn't really serve a point in all of this here, really, but it is what it is. This episode more focuses on all the other characters. You know, you focus on Carol and Maggie and them trying to find like Herschel and Coco and whatnot. Rosita's there as well, looking around. And then you also have Negan and Ezekiel, in which I think this episode actually showed Ezekiel that, you know, or I think Ezekiel, you know, he learned to respect Negan a little bit here. Like, I think after seeing what Negan was doing, the way he was acting, the way he was going to sacrifice himself, I think he realized just how human he is, right? Like, I think that's the one thing with Ezekiel. Out of all characters, I feel like he's the one that never really, like, forgot or let go of what Negan did during the Savior arc. And I think it's because he never really had the chance to. He never really got to see him be more himself. And that's the thing with Negan, what he's done, you know, I mean, obviously we've had these arguments for literally for forever now, right? Like, Rick did a lot worse technically than what Negan did. And so I like that. I like the fact that some characters are starting to come around to this. I mean, a lot of characters are starting to accept him a lot more here. And I do think after all of this, he will just be allowed to be in Alexandria or wherever. We do see Tyler Davis. So a lot of that mystery of like, oh, was he sent to the Civic Republic? That's all gone now. Like, he's actually here. He was here the whole time, which I'm a little confused by. I'm kind of confused on how they transport prisoners, but I guess he's been here the whole time. Negan really tries to save Annie in this episode, but that warden is on him the entire time here. And then it really builds up to the ending where you do, I mean, I'm going to say that ending scene was scary. And if it wasn't for the announcement of the spinoffs, honestly, I would have believed that Negan was going to die there. Like, it was that serious. And I actually thought Annie was going to die. And honestly, after watching it, I really feel like they missed an opportunity there. Like, we'll have to wait and see after we watch the next 2 episodes to see where they're going to go here. But I really feel like they missed an opportunity to kill a big character off in that scene. And I think Annie would have actually been perfect, because they actually kind of set it up quite a bit. And it felt so believable to me for Negan. And just when I look at that scene, man, like, he was on his knees and they would have killed Annie as well. Like, I think that would have been just crazy. And especially from Ezekiel watching him, because he's like, wow, he literally has to go through what we went through, or I guess what Rick and everyone went through, or Maggie went through when Glenn died. He's going through it here. If they would have killed off Annie, like, that would have been so perfect. Negan would have went insane. We would have that old version of that character again. And I think that scene was just, it would have been so perfect to do that here. And this way, I think at that point, he is 100% fully redeemed. And Ezekiel, everyone has to have, like, they have to have respect for him at that point, because, man, you know, and I think they missed an opportunity there. I really do. And I think that's the one thing that I'm so frustrated with when it comes to Angela Kang's storytelling, is that there's so many things that you can do to make this so epic, and she never does them, right? Like, in season 9, I think she did such a great job. Season 10, though, these things started to show up quite a bit, and we saw it. Like, you know, like, she changed up so many comic things. Like, Gabriel wasn't killed off, which was really frustrating, because he had an epic death in the comic, and it was by Beta, and at that point they needed to up the stakes there quite a bit. And it feels like that's sort of where we're at right now too. You know, the stakes are sort of, they're going up, but it's not the same. I think something like that would have really put things over the edge. Right now, I think, yeah, I'm wondering if there's a lot more to it. You know what I mean? Because Angela Kang used to be the showrunner for the Daryl show, and now she's not. I wonder if they sort of picked up on a few things and they were like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna go a different way here, because I think that there's definitely issues here with her storytelling. You know, like, there's certain things here where she could go in this direction, or maybe she's not allowed, I don't know, but I just want these things to happen. And also the pacing has felt like sometimes it's handled really well, but then sometimes these moments are just sort of, they rush right through it. And yeah, I like this scene overall still. It was still such a great scene. I just hate the fact that our characters came out on the other end of it, like literally fine, right? Like I think that something should have happened here because we're going into the last 2 here. And as of now, yeah, our characters are dealing with some stressful things. They're going through some stressful situations, but nothing's really happening to them for the most part. They're still sort of surviving everything. So yeah, it doesn't really feel like it's really that intense. Like it still kind of feels like the Savior War was a lot more intense than this. And now in terms of the Civic Republic stuff, I do want to talk about it here because obviously a lot of us are wondering, you know, are we going to be getting certain storylines with this? Now, I do think a lot of the storylines have been sort of closed a little bit, right? Like with Tyler Davis, you know, that whole thing has just kind of been explained now and he was just kind of taken there, I guess. There's still some stuff though. There's still some things that have not been explained yet. I'm concerned now with how they're going to reveal it. That's kind of my worry here. Right? Like I still believe that we're going to be getting some sort of Civic Republic / Rick Grimes mention, or not mention, but reveal where not like we see Rick because we're not going to see Rick, but just like an awareness of his survival and whatnot. But I'm concerned that it's going to come from a different sort of source here. Like I'm actually kind of concerned that we've been getting these hints, we've been getting these teases, you know, from Lance saying that there's alliances that will be upset basically if something were to happen to me. If there's all this stuff with like Designation 2 and things like that, for it to be like more of, you know, just for like world building, like that's dialogue to world build. But other than that, like it's going to be a reveal where Judith in the end just tells Daryl, yeah, my mom went to go and find Rick, this and that, and then maybe there's just something where they're looking through some old files and then they come across the Civic Republic. Like maybe it's going to be something that's done in the epilogue or whatever, right? The last 10 to 20 minutes of this episode, or the finale where everything's dealt with, everything's more peaceful. It's been about 6 months and now, you know, Judith finally confesses or something like that. And then they're like, oh, what? And then they go look around and then, you know, they find some files or something and then like, you know what I mean? I'm concerned that it's going to be done in a way like that. I also don't want our characters to find out about Rick's survival from Judith. I think that would just be absolutely horrible. I think doing something like that is just like, again, it's frustrating because it's the same thing that we've sort of always believed. Like, why isn't Judith telling anyone right now? I understand she's scared. She's scared that like Daryl's going to leave or whatever, but that's just still, to me, that's not a great enough reason, at least from a writing perspective. I think it's a reason that you just come up with just to easily explain it. And then you just expect the audience to try to believe it. But I think I think people are frustrated with it. I know a lot of people who have seen that and to this day are like, why isn't Judith saying anything yet? Like, it's been a very long time now. Shouldn't she be concerned about her mom? Like, why isn't she asking where Michonne is? Like, so yeah, you know, and when it comes to this stuff here, I still feel really good. Like, we're going to get that reveal. There's going to be some sort of, you know, reveal as to this is where the CRM are. They're the ones responsible for taking Rick, and Rick is alive. I think that's what we're going to find out. I would hope to see the Civic Republic, but it just feels like we're not going to at this point. But that information I do believe is going to be coming out. It's just sort of, again, it's just in terms of pacing and stuff like that. I feel concerned about how this stuff is going to be coming out here. I hope that it's not saved for the last episode and it's not just Judith all along. Maybe this scene will be great. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm a little concerned with that. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.